Hey, I'm the MMA loser and I'm back with another video. Today, I want to talk about Arman Tsarukyan and his flawless performance against Beneil Dariush. I made a prediction of this video that Arman is going to win this fight. And he won this fight, but I never thought he was going to knock Beneil out in the very first round itself. The fact, I think, Beneil after that lost against Oliveira, I don't think he's the same person anymore. But But it is what it is, man. Beneil is a top competitor. At least he was before this fight. We considered him to be top. We considered him to defeat uh, Oliveira. We also considered him to be facing against Makachev. But I don't think Beneil is going to fight against Makachev ever at this point of time, until unless Makachev loses and decides and he goes down the rankings, which I do not see happening as of right now. So I do not see Beneil Dariush fighting against is like Makachev or any of the top fighters. I do not see him fighting for the belt, which is very sad, knowing how Beneil is a really good guy. Dariush is one of those really nice fighters that you see. He seems like a very nice human being, but it is what it is. This is the fight game. There is a winner and there is a loser. The winner. We have talked enough about the person who lost. Let us talk about the person who won. That is Arman Tsarukyan, and he won in such a magnificent fashion. Finished Beneil Dariush in the very first round, 1 minute, 4 seconds of the very first round. And that was a flawless performance. Beneil threw, I think, one or two kicks at Arman. They did not land. They kind of landed on his hand and whatnot. Then Arman threw a knee, and that knee actually did not land. And while that knee was up in the air, he landed the right hand on Dariush. That was a flawless combination, and it's really difficult. If you have punched, if you have boxed, you know that how difficult it is to generate power if your technique is not right, and Arman did it flawlessly. It is really difficult to generate power without your feet. You cannot. Whenever you're trying to throw a punch, you generate power with your feet, to your legs, to your hips, and then boom with your fist. But Arman, he did not even have his right leg on the ground, and yet he was able to knock out Beneil Dariush with a punch, which is very, very interesting, which means that he has some good punching power. What's next for Arman Tsarukyan? He wants to have a title shot, or he wants to fight against Justin Gaethje. I think he deserves a title shot at this point of time. Who is there ahead of him? He defeated number 4 or number 5. I believe Beneil was number 4. Probably there is Oliveira and Gaethje. I think both Gaethje and Oliveira are going to get a title shot. But who is he going to fight? Who is Arman going to fight? Justin, I don't think he's going to fight against Arman. If they fight, I think Arman is going to win that fight real easy, because he has good grappling. He just needs to utilize his grappling against Poirier, and he's going to win. Him versus Gaethje will be an interesting fight, but I don't think so, because Gaethje wants to wait for the title shot, which is fair. I think this is going to be Gaethje's last title shot, according to him, I believe, because he said that I'm going to make one loss for the title and then he's going to live. UFC, I think, which is a good decision. He deserves a title shot as well. He knocked out Dustin Poirier with a head kick. Who has done that? So it's interesting. Arman is in a good position. He's the only fighter. I think he's one of the very few fighters who, I think he gave the best fight, or rather the toughest fight, for Makachev, and he was only 22 years old back then. Imagine, I'm 23, and Tsarukyan was 22 when he fought against Makhachev, which was, I believe, 5 years back, 7 years back. I don't think what. Yeah, 5 years back, I believe. Yeah, he's 27 right now. So 5 years back, he gave a really tough fight against Makhachev. Of course, Makhachev has grown. He has become a better fighter. He has improved. But so has Arman Tsarukyan. He has improved as a fighter as well, right? So it'll be interesting to see these two fight again, and they both have really good style. I think Arman is one of the very few people who has this wrestling against a wrestling that can match Makhachev high-paced wrestling, his grappling, his sambo. Arman can match that. Of course, Arman lost against Gamrot, but in that fight on the feet, Tsarukyan was winning. He was winning. It was only on the ground when he lost. But Gamrot might get a rematch against Arman Tsarukyan. That might happen because Gaethje and Oliveira. Oliveira is going to fight against Makhachev next. I believe that is what the UFC is trying to make. Gaethje is going to wait for the title shot, which is fair in his part as well. I mean, this is going to be his last title shot. Yeah, this is it for Justin Gaethje. If he fights against Tsarukyan and he loses, he's not going to get a title shot after this. I mean, he might get the title shot, but he will never be the same physically. This is his last shot that Justin Gaethje is getting at the UFC Lightweight Championship. So I think Gaethje might wait for it, which is, in my opinion, fair. For Tsarukyan, I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with him. I think he definitely deserves a crack at the title shot. He definitely deserves a rematch against Makhachev. But I think the only asterisk in Sarukyan's name is Gamrot. So him versus Gamrot, I think the UFC might do a rematch between these two because Gamrot recently he was the backup for Oliveira versus Makhachev. So I think UFC might reward him with a fight with a top rank with a rank fighter who is ranked higher or above him. So that will be interesting. I mean, Arman Tsarukyan is in a weird position. He deserves it, but I don't know if he's going to get it. He definitely deserves the title shot more than Oliveira and Justin Gaethje at this point of time. I mean, of course, Oliveira was a good fighter, but we already saw what Makhachev did to him. We already saw, and I do not think the rematch is going to go in a very different trajectory. It is going to be pretty similar. I think this will be a tougher fight for Makhachev, but I think Makhachev is going to win by unanimous decision, in my opinion. After his performance against um, Volkanovski, I think Makhachev is going to win this by unanimous decision against Oliveira, of course. And Justin Gaethje, I don't know. I think he deserves a title shot at this point of time, but I don't know what's going to happen between him and Makhachev because we already saw that Khabib has the game plan to defeat Gaethje. So it'll be interesting. But Arman is the only guy who gave a really, really tough fight to Makhachev. And he's the only person that I'm interested in watching because Arman has really good striking. I'm not going to say his striking is better than uh, Makhachev or Oliveira, but his striking is good. He gets hurt, but he will also hurt you. He does not have he he fights. That's what I'm talking about. He fights. He's willing to take a few punches to land a few and then take to the ground and still he's a dominant fighter, unlike Mateusz Gamrot, who just wins by decision. He takes you down, but he cannot really do any damage to you on the ground. So he only wins by decision. And his last win against Rafael Fiziev was a really weird win. He won because of an injury, and he was celebrating it, which is okay. You gotta celebrate. It is what it is. I have nothing against Mateusz Gamrot. I think he's a really good fighter, but it is what it is. Makachev versus Oliveira is going to happen next, according to Dana White, according to the UFC. They're going to probably fight in February or March or someplace. I don't, or sometime next year, early next year, maybe. I'm not sure, but after that, probably Gaethje will get a title shot. Who knows? I don't think Gaethje is going to fight against Arman. If he wants to wait, he kind of deserves to wait at this point of time. Because this is going to be his last title shot. And as far as Poirier is concerned, I don't think he's going to fight against Arman. He is one of those fighters who knows that okay, he's not going to win. He knows that he's not going to win against Arman, and he's going to fight only the big fights where he's going to make a lot of money, which is mostly Conor or maybe Chandler or maybe I don't know Kobe. He might move up the division, move up to welterweight and fight against Kobe because he wants to fight for money. It is okay. He's not going to become a champion. He's 35, 36 years old at this point of time, and he's not going to become a champion at this age. And it is what it is, man. He's just going to be that guy. He's going to fight for money, and I respect him for it. And Arman does not bring the money. Arman might bring the fight. He might bring the striking. He might bring the I don't know skill set, but he will not bring the fans. He will not bring the money. And at the end of the day, UFC is a game of money. And Dustin Poirier is somebody who is at a point in his career where he needs to retire. He's going to retire probably next year, maybe 2024, 2025. I don't see him fighting past 2025. That would make no sense. He'll probably fight once or twice next year, then he might retire 2025, which is good for him. And so he's going to fight for the big fights. Might be a rematch with Conor, or maybe a rematch with Chandler, or maybe some crazy, I don't know, UFC 300 fight with some, I don't know, with some veteran in welterweight. I genuinely do not know. So Poirier is not fighting Arman. Arman is a really Arman is in a really weird position because I think he is the most deserving fighter in lightweight division who deserves to fight against Makachev. He's one of the most skilled. He definitely had the toughest fight. He's probably has the better skill set compared to the other fighters to fight against Makachev. I'm not going to say he's going to win against Makachev. I'm not saying that. I think Makachev will defeat him, but it will be a good fight compared to Gaethje and Oliveira, which I do not think is going to go their way. There is still a chance with Tsarukyan. It is what it is, man. I'm not going to say he's the best in the world or anything, but he definitely brings some interesting challenges for Makachev. Having said that, I guess it is what it is. I mean, you never know. Big props to Arman Tsarukyan for finishing Beneil Dariush in the very first round. I don't know where Beneil Dariush goes from here. And he might fight against Dustin Poirier, or I don't know, whatever happens. I think Beneil might also consider retirement. I do not see him becoming a champion either. At this age, he's what, 35 right now? I don't know. He's old. So it is what it is. And big props to Arman Tsarukyan. And before I end this video, subscribe to my channel. I've got very few subscribers. And yeah, peace out, guys. Peace out.